So, what is the best LMG in the game? I'm pretty sure you've guessed it by now. That's right, that's the MG4. Now, this weapon is new to the Battlefield series actually, and we're going to be talking about it in quite some depth today because I don't really use the support class in Battlefield 4 all that often, so I'm going to stick with you guys. This is what you voted for as the best LMG. So, let's have a look at why we think that is. Let's take a little bit of a look at the background of the MG4. In real life, this weapon is developed by Heckler & Koch and is a successor to the MG3 7.62 light machine gun. This weapon houses the 5.56 by 45mm NATO round, making it less powerful per bullet than its predecessor, the MG3, which could fire at a ridiculous 1,200 rounds a minute. The weapon itself was designed in the late 1990s and was first adopted into the German army in 2005. Alongside the German army, it's been adopted in Malaysia by the Pascal Special Operations Force, adopted in Portugal, South Africa, and most notably in Spain, where it's currently being deployed into the Spanish army fitted with ACOG sights. The MG4 has a muzzle velocity of 920 meters a second, and a rate of fire between 775 and 885 rounds per minute. This weapon is a descendant of the MG42 family of weapons, and as we all know, that is one of the most famous LMGs in history, developed during the World Wars. However, how does this thing perform in Battlefield 4? Because that's the key thing here. We don't really care about real life stats. What do we want to know? We want to know how good this thing is in the game. So, we best get into it. Okay, first off, how do you unlock this thing? Well, it's actually the last machine gun that you unlock through multiplayer progression in the support class. So you are going to have to do a little bit of grinding to get to it, but obviously you guys seem to think it's worth it. One thing that is worth noting actually is that this gun is exactly the same as the M249 apart from a slightly different recoil pattern. So the gun itself performs exactly the same as a weapon that you can unlock by completing the single player, because of course that's how you have to get the M249. I just think that's worth noting, and it's quite a cool bit of statistics there. By going through the multiplayer progression, you do end up unlocking all of the US attachments for this weapon first of all. So if you're looking at getting your hands on a Cobra sight, you're going to have to wait until you get one in a battle pack, and that can be quite annoying, but perhaps the things that you should probably look out for are maybe the angled foregrip, because I think it just gives it a little bit more stability, and overall it makes it a better weapon to handle. Obviously it's a light machine gun, so once you start firing it, the recoil is going to start jumping all over the place. You want to make sure that when you first start firing it, that you do have it under control. I stuck the hollow sight on there, and I use a suppressor, and I'll explain why that is in a minute. One thing I think the MG4 has got going in its favour is the 200 round magazine, or box magazine, that you get underneath this thing. It's one of the machine guns that you get 200 bullets with. You have to remember that in Battlefield 4 there is no option for extended magazine. You either get 100 bullets with your LMG, or you get 200, and there's no option to go up or come back down again. So this thing means that you can go on some quite insane kill streaks on maps like Operation Locker and Operation Metro, especially when you're in a little bit of a choke point. You can make all the difference with those 200 rounds. You can really lay down some suppression there. Now, why do I use a suppressor on this thing? I said I was going to explain. I don't really know how to explain. I think the reason is because you fire so many bullets with a machine gun, especially in those long bursts where you are aiming down a corridor or something like that, then I do find it can be quite easy for an enemy to spot you. Especially on the minimap, if you're playing core mode, you just light up like a Christmas tree, and so does everyone around you. So sticking a suppressor on there may hinder the muzzle velocity, may make it a little bit harder for you to hit your target, especially if they're right down the other end of the corridor, but ultimately it means that you don't show up on the minimap, your friendlies don't either, and sometimes if you're on those infantry-centric maps, then you can get a really nice flank going, end up getting behind the enemy, and start to take them out like they didn't even know you were there. On other maps, I do switch to the flash hider or the muzzle brake and things like that. I've just been playing with this thing. I mean, I haven't played a huge amount with the LMGs, as I said, I think with the MG4 I have only clocked in about 40 minutes or so, but 40 minutes was enough to know that Suppressor is what I actually wanted to play with. And because I do play a lot of infantry-centric maps, when I'm playing on Metro and when I'm playing on Locker, I found this to be a really effective tactic. So there we have it. The best LMG in Battlefield 4? Do you think it's the MG4? Do you agree with what people voted in a majority as the best weapon, or do you have something else that you want to say? Make sure you do leave a comment down below, but I am just going to flash up the results of the poll because it is quite interesting, and it was quite varied between the top 5. Starting at the bottom, we do have the PKP, which is one of the heavy-hitting LMGs in the game, doing 34 max damage up close, and that's mimicked with the M240 Bravo, which sits in at number 4. I mentioned the M249 earlier, that's sitting in at number 3. You have to play the single player and complete the campaign in a specific way in order to unlock that weapon. I myself haven't done that yet, because I don't really want to play the single player, and with the MG4 I don't really need the M249, so I've decided just to stick with my MG4. At number 2, as I knew it would do, the AWS comes in with 482 votes, which is absolutely massive. And then, of course, we have number 1, the MG4, topping out with 671 votes, which is amazing. Overall, we had nearly 2,000 votes for this episode. I think it was like 1,917, I think, which is amazing. You guys have done an amazing job in making sure that you really do control what content goes into these videos, and I'm really enjoying making them at the moment. I will leave a link down in the description today so that we can do the best PDW next. I'm going to save the sniper rifles for last. So there's a link in the description and on the screen right now so that we can go and vote for the best PDW in Battlefield 4, and that will be the next episode coming next week. But thank you very much for watching today, guys. I put a little bit more effort into this video with some of the graphics and things like that, so I hope you appreciate it. If you did, make sure you leave a like rating and leave all your comments down below. I do try and read as many as I can. But until next time, my name is Westy, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.